So good evening everybody, hi, welcome. Good to see you here. We're going to cover a few different topics tonight, so there's a few people here and we hope there's something in it for everybody. We're going to cover some different things. Some of you are going to not be interested in some, more interested in others, so we think that there's something to take home for everybody. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. The toilets are out by the front door, as you saw as you come in the front door, little corridor down there. If there's, in the unlikely event of an emergency, Dr. Crean will scream. At that, we exit the building and out the same way that we came and gather out the front. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Stephen Crean to you from Hobart and Kingston Chiropractic. Some of you will recognise him. He is a familiar face in the Tassie road running circuit. Professionally, Stephen's been practising for around about 30 years, and whilst he treats all manner of issues that people have, being a runner has tilted his interests and therefore part of his career towards treating sports injury. And from that, I guess, comes the interesting sort of topic of biomechanics and the flow and effects of biomechanics into your performance and your results. And we're sort of going to be talking a bit about that sort of stuff tonight. I guess that side of Stephen's career led him to, outside of his work practice, work with netball teams, soccer teams, football teams, as well as the Australian Karate Championships and Team USA in the World Duathlon as a medical professional. At the conclusion of tonight, there'll be plenty of times for questions, and equally through the chat, if something sort of piques your interest, you don't quite understand, don't be shy, put your hand up and have a chat and ask questions, and those will be dealt with as we go along. Equally, we're going to have some information up on the board. Feel free to take a shot on your phone. It's there for you, so, don't be shy. Easier though, you might have noticed we've got a couple of cameras in the room, so this is all going to be filmed and we'll pop it up on our website that you can sort of check out and tell your friends later. For those who don't know, there are some similar videos that we've done of previous evenings we've had here on the TRR website as well. If you're not a member of TRR, welcome. It's good to see you. I'm glad you came along. We're pleased you're here. If you're interested in TRR and what we do and the benefits of membership, you'll find us on Facebook or Instagram or our website. Clearly you probably have done to get you here. We'll be around after, so you can have a chat, grab one of us and stay for coffee and have a bit of a chat. At the end of tonight, there will be questions, as I said. Also, afterwards, when we wrap it up, when we're having a coffee and a biscuit, Dr. Crean will be here to answer any specific questions that you've got and hopefully clear up anything that you're not sort of sure of that we've spoken about through the night. So please welcome Dr. Stephen Crean.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much, Craig. Welcome everybody. I was going to suggest that one of the useful things to do might be, if you want to just shuffle forward, some of the guys at the back, if you want to come and grab a seat closer to the front, please do, because some of the work we'll do tonight will actually be around this space, so I think it's just useful to be able to see. What I want to do is I'm hoping that everybody is going to leave here tonight with something to take home that is useful for them. So while I'm just starting, what I wanted to do is ask each one of you just to have a think on what it is that you'd like to achieve from being here tonight. So is it something you have something that's holding you back? Is it something, do you want to run a little faster? Do you want to be able to run for longer? Do you have something that you can see is bothering you, an obstacle? Because if we can answer that tonight, then that's valuable for you. All right, so these are the questions. So some of the information tonight will be a little slanted towards Point to Pinnacle. And Point to Pinnacle does some special things for people because it's uphill, so either 500 if you're doing the 10 kilometres or 1260 to the top. There are certain changes in how your body gets loaded by going uphill. So as we're going along, I'm hoping what I'll do is try and make that relevant so we can actually go, this is important if you're doing one of those things. So perhaps that's a good question. How many people are running up the mountain? Okay. Walking. Walking. I don't have a problem with walking. So that's really useful. So please ask questions. Okay, so this is what we want to do. So I think one of the things that I find on my journey, and I please understand I'm not a runner, I have not got an athletic gene in my body, but I try and I work and I think and I test and we develop things. So one of the things that I find talking to people is sometimes people don't know what they're really capable of. They don't know that they've got something holding them back until they actually have someone test it or check it. And sometimes people go, well, I'm not really hurting, therefore I'm fine. Well, sometimes you can do better. And so I'm hoping we'll have you do some take-home tests tonight and you can go, well, actually, is there something I can change or is there not? Okay, what are we not going to do? There's been previous TRR talks that have talked about nutrition, exercise routines and all sorts of things. We're not going to talk about a new fancy training schedule. We're not going to talk about gels, diets. We're not going to talk about the new best personal training activities. There are people who can do that, so that's not what we're going to do. But what we are going to work on is try and give you things to think about that will help you with either cadence, stride, power, less fatigue, more efficiency. Okay, so hopefully, if I can do some of these things, I'm sure you can too. All right. So step one, we're going to look a little bit at running mechanics. I want to try and get this concept of kinetic chains. Now, I'm sure that's familiar with a lot of you. Kinetic chains is a series of linkage of different muscles and joints that perform an action. And so the key things we're going to have a look at tonight are toe extension and toe flexion, anterior compartments, hip flexion, and your low back. Okay, now, so chiropractors spend a lot of time dealing with low backs and people sort of go, well, what has that got to do with running? Hopefully we'll answer that. All right, now, what I was hoping to do is, all right, so all I want you to do here is just have a look, okay, about where this lady places her feet and look at some of the mechanics around her toes. In through here, okay, and you'll see a cross and a tick. Now, everybody here is going to understand what is good and what is bad in that space. So we're going to go through and dissect this piece by piece. All right. So why am I here? Why is this approach interesting or different? What we do that's a little different tonight is we want to understand how our body works. This is what we do. Chiropractors, we want to do some testing. We want to have some results and some analysis, and we want to use that information to try and help or guide or provide some sort of form of assistance to people. And the result is we want people to do something better. Now, if we're not doing that, we have a problem. So the kinetic chain this is what we've talked about now. Have people heard of kinetic chains before? Okay, so running involves a linkage of action from here through our arms, our hands, our shoulder girdle, our core, our spinal extensor and stabilizing muscles, our glutes, our hip flexors, quads, calves, toes, all the way down. So without that coordinated effect, we don't accelerate, we can't control or stabilize our body posture. So I won't dwell on it, but that's the understanding. So low back is first on our list. What you'll see here, so hamstrings come up the back of your leg, we've got glute muscles here, we've got spinal stabilizers. When you run, what you do is you activate them in a synchronized set of movement from the foot all the way through. Our low back forms a foundation for a lot of muscles to pull against. And if we don't have a pain-free and stable low back, we lose efficiency and we fatigue really quickly. Okay, so this is what one looks like. Our hips come in here, and what you'll see on the picture is all of these muscles that help give us power all attach around this area. So what we'll do in a moment is we're going to do a couple of tests. Now, anyone in this room have back pain? Okay, so there's a couple of people put hands up. So research tells us that if you have back pain, it actually switches off certain muscles. The muscles it switches off most are your glutes and your core and your hip flexors. So from my point of view, if I have gone and picked up my lawnmower and put it in the back of the car and I've hurt myself, okay, then I am going to automatically inhibit those key muscles working. So our backs are important. So that's our starting point tonight. Okay, so this is what we do. So our back also does some other key things. Some people, when you run, you'll notice they run very, very flat with their back, and you'll notice that some people get quite a lot of rotation. So either is fine. Now, our first test tonight is the tenderness test. So what I'm going to suggest we do is I'm going to need someone. So one of the people that put their hand up with the sore back, and this is probably, do you want to, can I borrow you for a moment, please? Okay, so what I'm going to do, there's 3 tests that we're going to do. Can you come and sit here facing this way? Okay, now I actually don't know. I'm Stephen. Matt, nice to meet you, mate. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to touch Matt's low back, and if it's tender, I would just simply say if it's tender, then something's not right, and then he needs to do something about it to be better. All right.
It hurts there a bit, but mine's facet joints.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all there.
Okay, now can you, so firstly, so if that's tender,
Yep.
so there's something we need to do to make this stable and stronger so you can do better.
Yep.
Okay, so that's where we'll get down here at about item 3 on the treat. Okay, so that's number 1. The second thing I'm going to ask you guys can all do here is to attest to see if your back's doing okay is a wiggle test. So this is, I would suggest you've got something on your laps. If you want to put them down for a second. So Matt, what I want you to do is I want you to arch backwards a little bit. Okay, so, and it should have a nice little dip there. You didn't like that, did you?
No, a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay, now can you slump down please? Okay, that was all right?
Yeah.
Now let's go the other way. You don't like that, so
No,
that's
it's going back.
yeah, it's hurting. All right, now what I'd like you guys to do is while you're sitting in your chair, firstly come off the backrest and do exactly that. See if you can just arch a little and slump a little. So if you can feel that it has a nice little curve and a nice little slump, that's a tick. That's a good function. Okay, so Helen, really doing good. Okay. Right, so if it feels like Matt does, bending backwards, it actually hurts. So as he said, he has a problem, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, so that's test number 2. So test number 3, we should be able to have some reasonable mobility. So for Matt, he should be able to, and for everyone else in the room, should be able to rotate 70 degrees. So if we can rotate 70 degrees each way, we know that we've got enough mobility to perform well. All right, can you turn all the way left, please? And can you turn all the way right, please? Okay. How'd you go?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
So that's actually, that wasn't
My
too
back's
bad.
pretty good. It's only if I stand up and if I try and bend backwards a little bit. I can
Yep.
bend forwards, it doesn't hurt. It's when I go back.
Yeah, backwards, it
straighten up.
squashes together.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's from car crash.
All right, so the next thing is, so what would we do for, so did anyone have a positive in that space? Does anyone feel stiff, or do you all feel nice and happy and mobile? Okay, so if you're really good, then I'd say great. So first of all, the first one to do is, so if it feels a little stiff on turning, I'd go, it's really easy to do just a rotational stretch. Now, can you swing around the other side, please? All right, now, can you pop your hand on that, so right hand on this leg, and just turn all the way around? Okay, so you actually are not 70 degrees.
No.
Okay.
As far as I can twist.
Yeah, okay. All right, just hold it for 5 seconds. Go around the other side as far as you can. Hold it for 5 seconds. Now, if you're looking at Matt's shoulders at the moment, that's not 70 degrees. Okay, it's about 45. Okay, so that's really easy for everyone in this room to do, and you know that 70 degrees is, you know, halfway between 45 and 90. Second thing to do is the wiggle exercise. Now, this is where we did the wiggle a moment ago. It's really easy if you're sitting to turn around and literally just do that little curve in, curve out movement. And what it does is it loosens up your facet joints and the small muscles that hold you stable. So a really simple, easy thing to do. The third thing we can do is, and we'll do it a little more shortly, is we can actually put some, if someone gets sore down there, we can put some tape on it, hold it nice and firm and stable, things work better. Okay? You okay with that?
Yep.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you.
Checks in the mail, Matt. Okay, now hip flexion is the next thing. So you guys, those who run, what we do is we have hip flexor muscles. So these big ones here. So these are big. There's two sets of them. The first one is the psoas, which is the big one here. The second is the iliacus, which is on the sides. What these do is they do this. Okay, so these are essentially a back muscle because they come down the front of your spine, they go through the inside of your pelvis and they attach deep into your hips. So hip flexion lifts your knees. It is dependent on good core engagement. If you don't have good tummy muscles and your back's not right, these don't work. And so that's this comment here. So what we do is the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find someone who can come and we'll do a hip flexion test and see how they perform. This is relevant because you're going to, if those who are running uphill, you need to, every step you take is not just a swing, it's actually a swing and lift. What I'm hoping will happen is that if we can give you some ideas on this, you're going to get less fatigued going uphill. So less fatigue, better speed, hopefully a good event. Okay. You want to come and give us a hand?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, we'll put you on this because we need to have something that's nice and strong. So if you're happy just to have a seat and face this way. So we're going to do this. Now, I don't know if we can meaningfully do it with everybody here, but I'm going to show you here and you can see what it looks like. Now, I have no idea what to expect here.
Nor do I.
Okay. Now, so if you can just pop your hands out of the side. Okay, and I want you to lift your knee right up to here. And I want you to hold it. Okay, and you're bracing here.
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
And go up. Oh, you're kidding. Okay, up we go. Come on. Push hard. Up.
Yeah, that's...
You're not putting that on, are you?
No.
Okay, let's do this one. Up you go. Okay, now I'm going to get one of you guys to come and have a go at this. Now, I know you two. I don't know any of you guys. You want to come and just have a play? Yeah. All right. Sorry, guinea pig. Stay there.
Oh.
Yeah, so come and, so you see exactly what I do. I want you to come around, stand this side, and I want you to push down. I've forgotten your first name too.
Elton.
Thanks, Elton. Okay, push down, firm. Okay, now do the same on this leg. What do you notice?
This one here is stronger.
A lot stronger. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. So it's real. Now, Elton, you're actually doing P2P. You're going to the top, aren't you?
Yep.
All right. So we need to do something about that because that's going to fatigue a lot quicker than that one. Okay. So this is really relevant for you. All right. So what are we going to do? So now you guys can go home and you can do that test. You can get someone to do exactly what we just did there, and you can feel the difference. So we have got several options. Number one, the first thing we can do is we can actually rub it. So actually literally massage it. The problem is this muscle is all the way up against your spine. Okay, so we will have an abdomen in front here, so it's really hard to get to. The only place we can really work on it is just curling around the inside of the top of your pelvic bone here. So if you can find that little bump on the front there, it's just there, and that's the place where you just move it round and round. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, now we're on camera. All right, so just round and round, and we can do that. So that's number one, so that's really easy. Number two is we do something with your low back. So we talked about if something's not quite right there, this may not work well. So Elton, can you put your two hands just across your hips there and hold it nice and tight? So all we're doing is we're now artificially stabilizing his back. You want to do this again? Lift up and pull. That actually felt quite different. Did that
Yeah,
feel different
it
to you?
did, yeah.
All right, so what we need to do here to help him so he doesn't fatigue, he might want to rub this, but we're actually going to show Elton later how to put tape on your back so you can actually provide that artificial stability and make it just not fatigue. Yep. All right, so there are some other things on the list of things that we can do. So we've just talked about rubbing it. We've just talked about potentially low back taping. There are other things that if you've got time to work on it, then what we do is we can use loop band acceleration exercise to actually help train the psoas muscle. And if it's the case that continually it seems that this needs to be stabilized, then that's one of the things where you go and look at potentially getting some manipulation done on your low back. Yep. All right? Okay, now, so please come and talk to me after, Elton. All right, so thank you very much. Okay, so that's hip flexion. So if you're going to run 21 kilometers and this muscle is on 60% power, it's going to get harder and harder to keep going. So I just think it's, there's an opportunity to do much better. The next thing we talk about is hip extension. So hip extension is the ability for your leg to come beyond a central line. Okay, so this action we've talked about is hip flexion. Hip extension is this action. Now, why is this important? Okay, so you saw the video a moment ago with the ticks and the crosses. Okay, if you can't extend your hip well, going back this way, you reduce your stride. Okay, you shorten the ability to step, and it also means that in order to actually get a better stride, you end up having to tilt your pelvis and do other things. All right, now, and the key thing there is that if you can come back and extend, you've got the ability to push all the way through longer. So better power, better stride, quicker event. Now, I've introduced the concept of breakers, which is about people who strike here, slows you down, whereas people who are accelerators and pushers help you go faster and easier and more energy efficient. Okay, so the first video showed you the cross and the tick. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? How do we know if we have a hip extension problem? So this is where we just need another volunteer. So, okay, if you're happy to. Okay, so this one, what I need you to do, I'm Stephen, what's your name?
Jamie.
Jamie, pleased to meet you. Thanks, Jamie. Now, can you climb onto the table, so head down this end, facing up. All right, now I have no idea what sort of athlete you are, Jamie, but we'll find out how your hip extension is. Now, what I want to do is I want you to slide across this way a little bit so your hip is almost off the side of the table, and I'm going to come around here and just stabilize it. All right, so I want this knee to sit just here like this, and I want you to drop this off the side. Now, what should happen is your foot should almost touch the ground. Okay, how is it? All right, okay, so what I'm going to suggest that we do, now, do you want to slide across and do the same on this side? Now, no one else is going to be able to see, but I will. Okay, drop the leg down.
Easier.
Now, hang on, bend your knee. Okay, let it just... Do you want to do that one again? Okay, what's your impression?
This hip's usually the one that's tighter. And
Oh, so it actually is real?
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is suddenly really relevant for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. So you understand the motivation for having symmetry.
Yep.
You understand the idea that good hip extension helps you to power and be more efficient, being a pusher and an accelerator instead of a breaker. And all right, so what are we going to do about it? Okay, so we're going to show you what to do. So what you've just done is the first and simplest thing to do. So if you drop your leg over there and you put your two hands around this one and you pull it to you, you've created a lever and you now should feel some tension down through here. Okay, so that's your simplest stretch. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll do two other things. Okay, so we'll get up and we'll do those. Okay, so the standard stretch for that would be a hip flexor stretch. We'll teach people to do things like this.
Yep.
Okay, so you can do that. That one's just much more efficient.
Yep.
The second thing you can do whenever you're doing warm-ups or before you run or before you go to work or at morning tea is to actually do some nice leg swings. Okay, so do you want to come up and stand and just do some leg swings, please? So just nice big full length, and then we'll go back and we'll do that again. That wasn't enough. Come on, Jamie. Okay, all right, you want to try this again, see what happens? Now, we haven't done much, really. That took 20 seconds.
Yep.
Come down a little bit. Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll bring the foot up there. Same position as before. You feel that you're in the same position?
Yep.
What's your foot doing? Okay. So that's just an easy thing for you. So really relevant. Suggest you do it on both sides.
Yep.
And that's the most efficient one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You feel that.
And you can feel it
Working pretty
stretch.
easily, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So really useful and really relevant.
Yep.
Okay. You want to come and jump up?
Stephen, doing that stretch, are you just letting the weight of your leg?
It's his weight of his leg that's providing the leverage. Okay, now we could actually assist it and push it, but probably he's going to do it by himself. So I think if he's doing it by himself, for himself, and it's efficient, then that's a good way to go. All right, thank you, brilliant. Okay, the next one is shin. Okay, so again, why is this relevant? Okay, I've got to tell you that with shins, our shins fatigue, okay, and we don't know they're fatiguing, they just start to get tired and heavy. Now, if you're going up a mountain, every step you take requires a slight lift. It does two things. So the mechanics of the shin are that when you come forwards at point of strike, you have to control the foot going down, okay, and you go through, and then you have to be able to lift it to bring it forwards to control it for the next heel, so the next strike. Now, we should not be doing heel striking, we should be doing mid-foot strikes, but you still have to control it. And secondly, you're going to have to lift it 500 meters, so if you do halfway, 1.2 k's going up. The muscles involved in that are your TA, your extensor hallucis, and your extensor digitorum, so the ones that help lift up. So the next thing we need to do is go, this is going to help us run distance, not fatigue, and keep going. All right, so, all right, oh, there we go. So, now, there are actually other things that happen. You've all heard of shin splints. Shin splints comes from this. So what happens is this group of muscles they're encased in a sheath, like glad wrap. Okay, now the glad wrap, when you exercise a lot, the glad wrap can't expand. So as you exercise lots, the muscle wants to expand. It presses on the softer structures inside. They are the nerve, the artery, and the vein. They get compressed. So blood supply goes down, you start to get pins and needles, tingling, numbness, and you start to lose the power and control of your foot. So, okay, that's sounding a bit serious, but that's the sort of the scenario. Okay, so what are we going to do? I actually am going to, I think it'll be easier not to show you the video clip and wait here for 20 seconds, 30 seconds while it does. What we've got is a video clip which helps you understand the shin. Now, so what we need to do is we're going to do a test for the shin. So anyone here who's had shin splints before? Okay. All right. Do you want to come and join us? All right, so what I would like you to do is have a seat just here, facing this way. So, now what's your first name?
Will.
Will, g'day, Stephen. Thanks for helping. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to get you to bring your feet to straight up and down. And I want you to pull your toes up, come out a little bit, and I just want you to hold them there, okay? And pull up. Now, this one, same thing, and pull up. All right, now how did it feel? Did it feel 10 out of 10 strong?
No.
What would you give it?
Maybe a 6.
Okay. All right, okay, so okay, it's being really honest. So what are we going to do about it? So for those who are running up a mountain, you've got 4 weeks' time. This is an easy test that you guys can do at home, so I want you to be able to, you know, somehow just remember, do it, see what it shows, and then see if we can do something about it. Now, it's actually quite a hard muscle to stretch, so that would be an easy thing to do. It's really quite hard. Now, have you got rollers or spiky balls at home? Okay, so spiky works quite well for your shins. Okay, it's just a bit hard to get onto it. You can also use an edge, so the shin on an edge, and you can just rub and scrape it up and down. What I'm going to suggest that we do, some people would use a thumper on it. What I'm going to suggest we do here is ask if you're okay. We'll pop you on the table. We'll spend 20 seconds, 30 seconds just working on your shin, and then we'll come and test it again. Is that okay?
Yep.
Have you got anyone who does that for you? Okay, well, let's try this. Now, can you climb onto your back again? So head here and feet down this end. Okay, now you can tell me to stop, okay? It's going to be unpleasant.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All right, so what I'm doing here, I'm just using my thumb and putting my hand over the top to protect my thumb. Okay, so it's a little bit awkward to do with yourself. How you're supposed to smile.
I get a wooden spoon, you can bite down on that.
It's actually really sore. Is this what it's been like?
Yeah.
How long has it been going on?
On and off for about 12 months.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so let's just, I'm sorry.
He's not.
Yeah, look at that smile.
You do it, you
Well,
do.
clearly I need it, so.
Okay. All right, okay. Now, should we try? You want to come and grab a seat?
Sure.
All right, so what I want you to do this exactly the same as we did a moment ago. Okay? Now, let's do this side. Toes up. You ready? Pull up. You want to do this one? And pull up.
That's amazing.
Okay, so for you, that's really relevant.
Yep.
Okay, so you need to use your spiky, use some figures, talk to your partner, do something, okay? Because that's dramatically different, I thought. All right? Okay, thanks. Come and grab a seat. Okay, so the shin is different. So I don't know what your journey is, but I would think that if they felt good, it'd just be nicer.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so next. Okay, so big toes. All right, so this is toe flexion. This is toe, sorry, I got that wrong. Okay, this is toe extension, this is toe flexion. Now, so if we think about running mechanics, we actually do both things. So when we strike, we roll forwards, that's toe flexion. It's extension. It's extension. And then as we go along, we get to a point where we want to push and accelerate off, and that is our point of flexion. I got it right. All right, so the reason for doing this is really, again, simple. If we can get people to have good toe flexion and extension, they will do two things. It means that they can have a nice, bigger stride. Okay, so longer stride, greater distance for the same time and effort. And also, the second thing is if we can have good toe flexion power, it means you can give that little bit of a push. So we'll get to that shortly. Okay, so what does toe extension do? Full stride, efficient rolling, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a volunteer to show us what that should look like. And our volunteer is already organised here. Now, if you can come and just have a seat here, Sharon, feet down. Well, I don't mind which way. All right, so if we can just get you to go flat. All right, so all we want to be able to do is you should be able to, and I don't know what your toes are like, Sharon, I've got no idea.
Ticklish.
Okay, so what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to see that big toe come up nicely like that. Okay, can we do the other one? Big toe up nicely. Okay, so that's important. Now, I reckon what we're going to do is we're going to get ready for the next part. Now, I think we're not going to do a group toe test. Okay, so that's what it needs to do. Now, if it doesn't do that, okay, we'll get to that. If it doesn't do that, it's a really easy one to stretch. Okay, so you can turn around and simply just do that. So just roll over it so it gets stretched. You can turn around, as Sharon probably would be to pull it up like this. It's a really easy thing to do. Now, no, we know. Okay, so there's a really good example here of what toe structure and shape does and how it impacts the way you run. So there are some people in this room whose big toes do that. You've seen some people do that? Now what happens as soon as you do this, the muscles that we'll get to talk about shortly become very inefficient, because instead of trying to pull in a straight line, they're pulling around a corner and they can't recruit efficiently. So if anyone here has got a big toe that deviates, please come and just have a little chat to us afterwards, because there's some simple stuff that you can do which is not in this presentation.
Stop wearing high heels? You'll never do that.
All right, okay, you all right there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so there was some people who get arthritis and other things in their big joints, and that's where I go, if you can't do that and it doesn't stretch, then you just need to go and talk to someone and get some help, and that's why we put our little comment at the bottom, you just go and talk to one of the sports chiropractors. All right, now, big toe flexion. So you okay there?
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we were talking about before. So that's extension right at the end of the run. So we've got that toe flexion, that power off. Now I think I've got a picture here. So these are the muscles that are used here. They come down the inside of your foot and ankle, and they come all the way down and attach to different parts underneath your foot. This is not your calf muscles. We're not talking about your big calf muscles and Achilles. These are the ones that give you that extra push to push up a hill or keep going. These will give you an extra 2 to 4 centimeters per stride. So that's why this is important today. Okay, so does that make sense? They come down here, through underneath here, and attach in different parts. All right, now, so that's what we're talking about. So limited toe flexion power means shorter stride, lack of push off, poor acceleration, poor spring, and what we're going to now do is we're all going to do a little test for these. Okay, now please come and stand up, Sharon. Now what I'd like you to do first is I want you to stand up on 2 toes. Great. Now, next test, you've got balance here, is to stand up on 1 toe. Lovely. Can you do the other toe? Okay. Right, can you guys all do exactly that? Come and stand up. 2 toes. Okay, right up on your toes. Okay, down, and then you might just need to put your hand on someone's shoulder next door or that, and then go 1 toe, other toe. Now, if it's uncomfortable or it feels like it just wants to go soggy, then we've got a little problem there, and that's our next step. Okay, so if you go up the mountain, run to the pub, 10 kilometers, you're going to do this 10 to 15,000 times over that period. Okay, all right, and down. Now, Sharon, can you come and hop back up here, please? All right, now I'm going to suggest that each and every one of you, one of my challenges for you is that you actually actively do what I'm about to show you, okay, which is to rub it, roll it around the side there, okay, because it's easy and it's going to help. Now, can you bring your foot up on top? Okay, so if we put that one off the side, are you happy to pull your trousers just up to there? Okay, so if you find the shin the bony part, and you just come round to the inside, that's the area that you're looking at. Okay, so this is the area that you can just pop your fingers into, okay, and rub it. It'd be much easier to turn around and actually just put a little bit of skin cream on and do this, okay, and I think this is worth potentially an extra 2 to 4 centimetres per stride. Okay, how does it feel?
Pretty good for you.
Thank you. All right, okay, so I always go, you can do it on both feet, 20 to 30 seconds, and you can make a difference, I think, for probably each one of us. Okay? Thank you very much, Sharon. All right, so if it's something that bothers you and you get sore on the inside of your foot, or you're having trouble with your ankle stability when you push off, then that's one of the things. If you need some help and advice, you're welcome to give us a call. All right. Now, we are getting close to the end. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just go back a couple of... okay, we've got our contact details on slide, and we have got a little picture of some of the stuff that we actually do out in the big wide world. Now, have you got any questions? Troy?
Yeah, I was keen to know about the foot flexure. Now, with modern running shoes, they've got carbon plates in them. I was feeling that the carbon plate takes away that ability for the big toe to flex. How does that impact?
Okay, I don't have an answer. I'm not familiar with carbon plates.
Right.
So if you tell me that you've got something that comes right down here,
Yeah.
is it designed to spring?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer, so I would go, it's like some orthotics and some of the other things that people have in shoes, okay, and it is that having all the fancy technology is really awesome, but it is a supplement, not necessarily a replacement for having good body function.
So it enhances the natural body function.
Yeah, so my suspicion would be you still do all the important things for you, and that might just give you an advantage. Okay, so if you wear shoes that are 200 grams versus 260, you'd think it's going to be lighter and easier to move. So sometimes people will use things that give them advantage, and they don't therefore have to put the extra effort in to train and be really good. I would just go good function plus whatever your fancy shoes are is still going to give you an advantage. Okay. Good question. I don't know if I've answered that well. Okay, anyone else got any questions about what we've done? Yes, same principle. It's just a matter of force and so on. So everything that we've talked about here tonight is relevant for walkers as well as runners. You're still going to have to lift your feet up. You still have to roll over your toes with your extension and flexion movement. You still are going to have to do hip flexion. It's just that the intensity and the level of force is slightly different. Okay? So the principle is exactly the same.
You talk about rubbing the muscle down
Yeah.
here, the little ones. Are those vibrating massage guns? Are they any good for doing that?
Okay, so one of the things I thought about mentioning here is about the use of the hammers, so the cordless little guns. Okay, we've actually got one in the clinic at the moment. I'd have to say for big muscles, where there's no bony prominences, I think that's a really useful thing. If I was going to be working on some trigger points within my calf muscle, I don't think I'd have any problems using a gun on it. Coming around really close to my tibia, I'm probably going to be a little hesitant, because if I bang it on the bone, it's going to hurt, and I'm not going to appreciate that experience. Okay, so, back muscles through here, sure, calf, front on your shin, perhaps not so much the inside.
How do you use a spiky ball? What do you do with that?
Yeah, now you got to get up.
Okay, so let's just go. So what we're doing with this earlier is we're going to look at you doing this for the shin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think probably the easiest way to demonstrate it so people can see is you've got a ball, and you're going to put your shin on top of it, and you're going to move it backwards and forwards. Okay, here you go. Okay, now this is a really soft surface. You want it on a hard surface so it actually penetrates a little bit better.
More? No.
Yeah.
It's not a nice feeling,
No,
but it's good.
but
Put under your foot as well.
yeah, so for tonight, so you can use this on here, okay? Probably not so ideal for here.
That'd be good.
Yeah, you can do that.
That feels nice. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's
I
good. It's
know.
best for you. Okay.
Very good.
All right, but that's just so, okay. So that you can't use that on your psoas muscle. You can use it certainly on your glutes and hips, which is really good for that. Really good here. Our man with his low back. Okay, potentially that would be helpful for some of those small stabilizing muscles up there. Foam rollers probably better and more relevant. Okay, right. Anything else? Now, what I would suggest that we do when we conclude shortly, there's a couple of things we will be available, and so Dr. Sam and myself will be available if someone wants to go, how do we do that test? Or let's actually see what that feels like. Happy to do that. What I would like to do is thank TRR for the opportunity to come along and share some really relevant biomechanical ideas with you all. I hope you actually go well with your endeavours and however you're running or walking. Thank you very much. Craig?
How cool was that? Thanks, Stephen. Will's demonstration with the power of his foot changing in like 20 seconds and everybody going, ooh, like, that's really impressive. Thank you. We are going to hang around. We've got the kettle on. We've got some biscuits and things. So please, hang around. Ask Stephen, and Dr. Sam's here as well. If you want to, a demonstration on those or anything else. It really is pretty amazing stuff, I reckon, the biomechanical sort of changes that happen really, really quickly. I'm interested for Stephen to talk to a particular person who's got an extraordinarily good stride and see whether the toe flexion and such could even improve it. That's a really cool thing.